Well, the United States is currently imposing a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz amid Iran's blocking of most ship transiting this key waterway. The world is closely monitoring the situation in the Strait of Hormuz with the calls for lasting solution. Pressure is mounting as U.S. President Donald Trump has sought to tighten the naval blockade on Iran, deploying thousands of additional troops and sailors to the Middle East in the coming days. Now, visuals on your screen are shared by White House that shows U.S. Navy blocking Iranian vessels there. In fact, as per as U.S. Central Command is concerned, they have said that during the first 48 hours of the U.S. blockade on ships entering and exiting Iranian ports, no vessel have made it past the U.S. forces. Additionally, they have also said that 10 vessels have complied with the direction from U.S. They have turned around and returned to the Iranian port or the coastal area as well. So that's the latest. As far as the United States is concerned, they're currently imposing a total naval blockade of the Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, just a few hours back, Donald Trump had announced on social media that the Chinese vessels and other vessels will be allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. But as far as the Iranian ports are concerned, they are currently blocked and Trump has imposed a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz amid Iran's blocking of the most shipping transiting this key waterway. In fact, the world is closely monitoring the situation in Hormuz with the calls for the lasting solution as well. Pressure is also mounting as U.S. President Donald Trump has sought to tighten the naval blockade on this key waterway. Let me take you through more details as to what the U.S. Central Command has stated. They have said that in the last few hours, 10 of the ships have gone back. They have turned around and went back to the Iranian ports, and that is the latest we're learning. No vessel has crossed in the first 48 hours. Remember, the blockade was imposed in that area. As far as the Iranian ports are concerned, just 48 hours back, 10 ships forced to turn back. They left from the Iranian ports, but we're learning that the U.S. forces have turned them back, and now they're back to the Iranian ports is what we're learning so far. So that is the latest as far as the naval blockade of the Iranian ports there are concerned. In fact, we have another breaking update coming in as far as the naval blockade is concerned. A threat that has come in from Iran. Iran has threatened to block the trade in the Red Sea, Gulf and Sea of Oman if U.S. continues its naval blockade of the Iranian ports. While the White House, as we've been telling you, is quite optimistic about the future talks likely to be held in Islamabad in the coming days. And remember, this announcement was made by Donald Trump that the next 2 days are going to be quite crucial. There could be talks in the coming days. And at this point in time, we're learning that the Pakistan delegation is currently in Iran, meeting with the Iranian delegation there to push them for the second round of talks. So that remains to be seen. But as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned, the Iranian ports are blocked. Iran has threatened to block trade in Red Sea, Gulf and Sea of Oman if the U.S. continues its naval blockade of the Iranian ports. All right, let me go across to Purnima Nath, politician based in USA. Thank you so much for connecting with us. How do you look at this? Because Trump continues to use Hormuz as a pressure point while it has allowed Chinese vessels and other vessels to pass through. Iranian ports are blocked as of now. Your take on this? Ma'am, could you please unmute yourself?
Thank you so much for having me. Namaste, Jai Hind. I think what Trump administration has found themselves in a massive hot water. I don't think they actually thought this is going to go this far, especially speaking from a perspective of how Iran has blocked the Strait of Hormuz. I don't think they thought it was going to go beyond 2, 3, 4 days at the max, because they thought it was initially Venezuela-like operation. And as things got complicated, he started making things up. You know, for the last over a month, he simply kept saying that we have won the war, we are winning the war, we are about to finish the war. There is no strategic planning. What the entire world have seen literally is basically America, President Trump is economically literally pressurizing. And to tell you the truth, yesterday J.D. Vance has used a word called economic terrorism that Iran is doing. I had asked him, what are you doing? Have you looked within yourself? What is this our country has done in the entire world? Pressurizing and committing economic terrorism for whether it's Cuba, whether it's Russia, whether it's India, whether it's Iran, whether it's Venezuela. What have we done? So unfortunately, I think the MAGA base is not able to see what the right-wing GOP has committed over here. They're still aligned with President Trump, but majority of Americans have seen what's happening, and they're actually breaking away from President Trump. And this is what you are seeing from Tucker Carlson to Alex Jones to Megyn Kelly or Joe Rogan. But Joe Rogan is probably already made up because he was seen in that the fighter event when negotiation was going on. So you can understand how serious America is when the war is going on. Literally every country, especially in the Asian countries, are targeted, but at the same time, he is actually watching a fighting match over here.
Absolutely,
So,
because it is very important. People who used to support Donald Trump are now turning against him. His approval rating in the United States has also come down. Stay on with us because we have another breaking update coming in. Amit, what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz? We're learning that a senior Iranian official and military advisor to the supreme leader has threatened that they will be attacking the U.S. warships in the Strait of Hormuz, that they would be targeted. He has also warned that American naval forces were under our missile launchers. He has said, and I quote, the launchers have most likely been moved by our brothers and are now aimed at the USS Warship and the warships that are there in the Middle East. They all are under our launchers now, and we will sink them all. That's a big threat that has come in from a senior Iranian official and military advisor to the supreme leader. He has said that U.S. warships in the Strait of Hormuz would be targeted in the coming days. All right, so that's the latest as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. Let me go across to my colleague Mayank, who's been tracking all the latest. Mayank, tell us what is the latest as far as the naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is concerned? Because we're learning that in the last 48 hours, ever since the naval blockade was imposed, no vessel has been able to cross the Iranian ports there. What is Iran saying on this?
See, according to me, ultimately the people are suffering. The larger masses are suffering, whether the ships are blockaded by US or they were earlier blockaded or regulated by Iran. So what you see, the number of ships which were in normal conditions moving out, it's hardly any ship which is moving out. So ultimately the people will suffer. Now let's come back immediately to what Iran has been trying to say. Iran, it is all tactics of pressure from both sides. One side is moving in or blockading the things. Iran is now saying and that they'll be hitting the warships and sinking them that side, blockading the entire Strait of Hormuz as they had been doing it. Iran is capable enough that we can let us understand that point, because it is time of ceasefire and people have stopped operations. It is functioning. It is successful in this regard. But then, having said that, now the pressure tactics have started because both sides have to come down to a point which they would agree to. But then before that, the both sides, which is the US and Iran, they both want to eke out or to get maximum out of the talks and negotiations. Now, when I say maximum in this case, the specifics as defined from the US side is that they won't be coming down or they won't be going down as far as their demands and requirements on the issue of nuclear or missile enrichment is concerned. But then let's come back to Iran. Iran has been saying, or they doesn't want to let up or give up their leeway in terms of their enrichment towards uranium is concerned, because ultimately both sides will try to eke out the maximum from these kinds of talks. So you are seeing the posturing which is happening, and Iran is capable enough. Let me agree to that, because they have time and again proven that their missiles, their drones, they reach and they destroy things as they have been doing.
All right. So as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned, it remains the friction point between the two countries.